In the world of cybersecurity, we're increasingly handing the keys to the kingdom over to AI. But what happens when that AI makes a critical decision and we have no idea why? It's a huge problem. So, can we trust an AI to defend our digital world? Well, a new system that explains its every move might just be the answer. To really get what's going on here, we first need to wrap our heads around a huge challenge in modern cyber defense. It's something researchers call the black box problem. Okay, so think about it like this. On one side, you've got your traditional security tools. They're kind of like a bouncer with a list of known troublemakers. They're fantastic at stopping the threats we already know about, but they get fooled by a new face in the crowd. Now, on the other side, you've got modern AI. This is like a bouncer with an incredible gut feeling. It can spot brand new, never-before-seen attacks. The catch: when you ask it why it got suspicious, it just shrugs. It can't give you a straight answer. It's a total black box. And look, this isn't just some academic problem. During a real cyber attack, every single second counts. If an AI flags something as dangerous but can't explain why, the human analysts have to waste precious time trying to figure it out for themselves. This delay slows down the entire response, and maybe even worse, it completely shatters the trust between the expert and their AI tool. This is exactly where this idea of explainable AI, or XAI, comes into play. It's a whole field of study dedicated to a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. Let's build AI that can actually show its work, that can justify its reasoning in a way that we, the humans, can actually understand. This is the key to cracking open that black box. So, the big question is, how do we do it? Well, researchers have come up with a potential solution. It's a system they call KLAGE, and its whole purpose is to change AI from this mysterious black box into what you might call a transparent, helpful partner. The whole project really started with this one fundamental question. What if we could build an AI that doesn't just sound an alarm, but actually hands you a complete report explaining, in plain English, exactly what it saw and why that specific thing looks like an attack? So the researchers call their big idea the glass box approach, and it really stands on three main pillars. First up, they use knowledge graphs. You can think of this like creating a social network map for your entire computer system, showing who's talking to whom. Second, they use an AI technique called LLM, which acts like a detective, pointing to the exact pieces of evidence that made the AI suspicious in the first place. And third, they bring in large language models, the same tech behind things like ChatGPT, to take all that complicated data and translate it into a simple, clear report that a person can actually read and use. Okay, so that's the theory, but how does this all actually fit together? Let's take a look at how KLAGE turns a massive flood of raw, messy data into a clean, intelligent security report. The whole thing is basically a pipeline. On one end, you feed in these messy, raw network traffic logs. They go through a bunch of different stages: processing, classification, explanation, and then what pops out the other end is a clear, actionable threat report that a human can understand instantly. Let's break that down just a little bit more. So, step one, KLAGE takes all that chaotic network chatter and organizes it into that social network-style graph we talked about. Step two, a specialized AI called Graph-BERT scans the graph for threats, while LLM is right there with it, figuring out the why. Now, step three is absolutely crucial. The system prunes, or basically just cuts away, all the irrelevant noise, so you're left with only the details that are critical to the potential attack. And finally, step four, an LLM takes that focused, clean data and writes up a simple summary for the analyst. And, as the authors themselves put it, the real magic here isn't any single piece of tech. The breakthrough is the novel integration of all of them working together. It's about building one smooth pipeline that doesn't just give you an alert, but gives you accurate, easy to understand, and automated reports. All right, so the idea sounds fantastic. It really does. But here's the billion-dollar question. Does this glass box approach actually work any better in the real world? Well, the numbers speak for themselves. In head-to-head tests, KLAGE hit over 84% accuracy when it came to classifying threats. That's a jump of more than 5% over the best models that came before it. So think about that. You're not trading accuracy for clarity. The system is both more transparent and more accurate. That's a huge win. But being accurate is only half the battle. Just look at the difference in the quality of the reports. If you just give the raw data to a standard LLM, you get these vague notes, and it often can't even name the attack. But KLAGE,
It correctly pinpoints the specific attack type, like a DDoS slow loris attack, and gives you a detailed, structured analysis with all the evidence laid out. Honestly, it's the difference between a vague guess and an expert diagnosis.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The researchers put these reports in front of 10 real-world cybersecurity professionals. And the results? They were just striking. An overwhelming 60% chose the reports from KLAGE as being the most useful. The key takeaway here is that the people on the front lines, the ones who would actually use this thing, found KLAGE's explanations to be far more actionable and trustworthy.
Now, to be fair, this system isn't perfect. The authors are very clear about its limitations, especially with those really sneaky long-term threats called APTs. And, like any LLM, it can sometimes make stuff up. But the significance of this work is undeniable. This approach gives real power back to human analysts, it builds trust in the AI tools they depend on, and at the end of the day, it helps them respond to threats way faster and more effectively.
So this all brings us to one last really big question. AI is already becoming our co-pilot in defending our digital lives. The question isn't if we're going to partner with it anymore, it's how. And what this research shows us is a path forward. A path where that partnership isn't built on blind faith, but on a solid, unbreakable foundation of transparency and trust.